everyone, it's Amanda, and today I'm going to do my February wrap-up. So in the month of February, I read 6 books, which I thought was pretty good. I read 4 in January, and February was a shorter month, so I thought that was pretty good, and I read some kind of thicker books, so yeah. So here is what I read. The first book was Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. And I read this because there was a lot of hype about it on YouTube and just in general. I have heard a lot of people say great things about it. Haven't heard anything really negative about it. But I have to say that I did not really like it that much. I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars. I really liked the plot. I liked the main character, Sky, but I did not care for Holder, who was the male character. It kind of just felt like I know he had a lot of turmoil in his life, without giving any spoilers away about anything. He had a lot of stuff in his life, and so he was a more intense, serious kind of person, which I understand, but I didn't feel like the way he treated Sky in the beginning of the book was the way I would want my daughter to be treated if she was that age. The other thing was, I thought that he was a bit unrealistic for a 17-year-old boy. I think he was 17 or 18. Just in the way he talked to her when he was being all lovey-dovey romantic, he would just always say that perfect thing, and it just seemed a little unrealistic to me for that age of a boy. I know a lot of 17-year-old boys, and I just don't see it. So that, and then just a lot of other stuff that just kind of wasn't my favorite. I felt like the situation that Sky found herself in, and she was having a lot of trouble, and it was just like a real quick fix for that big problem. Just seemed a little bit unrealistic too, because I think that's something that would take years to overcome. It may have been just how I viewed it, but it just wasn't my favorite. But I liked all the things that happened. I thought it was an interesting story and unusual. Again, I think it was kind of unrealistic in some ways, but it was pretty good, but not my favorite. So then I read The Host by Stephenie Meyer, and this was a huge book, but I really, really liked it. I ended up giving this a 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. I've never really read anything similar or anything in the science fiction genre, and this was my first foray into that, and I really enjoyed the world and everything about it. I just thought it was really kind of interesting and a unique concept. A lot of people are not fans of Stephenie Meyer. I read the Twilight series and I did not love it. I thought it was interesting, but just was not my thing, and so I was a little bit hesitant to read this when I found out she had written it, but I really, really liked it. I think she's very creative, and I also think that her writing style is good. I think she writes nicely. I enjoy it. There isn't a lot of action in this book, but I think the storyline is really interesting. The only thing that bugged me about this book is I did not understand how everything got started, because the souls came to Earth and took over the humans, but the souls are these little, what I imagine like a spiky ball with like all these silvery tentacles. How did they originally get there to take over a body? I have no idea. It was never really explained, and that's the thing that kind of, I don't know, sometimes I think too logically when I'm reading books, and I just didn't get that. But other than that, I loved it. After that, I read Looking for Alaska by John Green, and I loved this book in the beginning. The before part I really, really loved. I kind of guessed what was going to happen, the big event. I didn't guess exactly how it was going to happen, but I kind of had a pretty good idea. And after that, after the whole after part, I felt like it was going on too long. I kind of felt like at some point you just kind of have to let it go, and it just didn't feel like it was. But I loved the characters in this book. I loved the Colonel. I thought he was hilarious. And I really loved Miles, who reminded me a lot of myself, and I have to sneeze. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm done. Sorry. Miles, I really liked him. He just kind of was not really very social, was kind of socially awkward, and he would kind of rehearse what he would say to people before he said it, stuff like that. And it just kind of reminded me of myself in a way. He talked about how he hated sports, and his mom signed him up for baseball. The very last year he could be in T-ball. I think it was T-ball. He was in 3rd grade or something, and he was on the team with all the kindergartners, and it just kind of took me back to when my mom signed me up for tap dancing when I was in 6th grade, and I was with all the kindergartners, and it was very crazy. So, yeah, I really, there were a lot of parts of this book that I loved. I ended up giving this book a 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Ice Cold by Tess Gerritsen, and I had never read anything by this author. It was really good. I thought it was very interesting. It's about this woman, she's a medical examiner, and she's at a medical conference, I believe in Wisconsin, no, Wyoming. I think it's Wyoming. And she ends up going on a spur of the moment ski trip with this guy she meets that she knew from the past. And they break down and end up going to this little village. In the snow, it's snowy, and the village is a bunch of houses that are abandoned, and nobody's there, and it just looks like everyone just kind of disappeared. There's still food on the table, stuff like that, and you start to find out what's going on, and you think you know what it's all about, and at the end you're kind of like, whoa, I didn't realize that was what it was. Like, it was she took you in a whole different direction at the end, which I like that. I like not knowing. And it was just, the whole book was very interesting and good, and lots of twists and turns and stuff. So I enjoyed this a lot, and I will probably be looking for more books by this author. And I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. After that, I read The Secret Year by Jennifer R. Hubbard. I actually picked this up just kind of because it's a short book. I kind of expected this book to be like 13 Reasons Why, which I have not read, but I know the plot summary, because this is about a girl and a boy, 2 teenagers who had a relationship for a year, and she dies in a car accident, and he ends up getting her journal and kind of reads it, and that's all in the first couple pages, so it's not a spoiler. This book, I kind of just kept feeling like something's going to happen soon, and never really did. I did not like the character of Julia at all. Colt was okay. He was the boy in the book. It just was not that good, in my opinion. I felt like there were a lot of things, the things you wanted to know about were never really addressed. And it went on to, it was basically after the accident, how he's dealing with everything. And it just felt like something was going to happen, and then nothing ever really did happen. So I did not love this book. I gave it a 2 out of 5 because I did finish it. But there were times I kind of thought about putting it down permanently. So, yeah. The last book I read this month was Insurgent by Veronica Roth. And I'm kind of cheating because I finished this today, and it's March 1st. But oh well. This book was very good. I was kind of bored in the first part of it. I didn't really think it was that great. I was loving Divergent from the very beginning to the very end. I loved the whole book. And I felt like this one was not as exciting, not super interesting in the beginning. After about 50 or 60 pages, then I started to think that it was good again, and it picked up. There was a lot going on in this book, and the ending had kind of a big revelation, which I thought was really cool. So I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. If it would have been exciting in the beginning or more interesting to me, I would have given it 5, but I felt like it didn't measure up to the Divergent book that I absolutely loved. So anyway, those are the books that I read this month, and so I'm really looking forward to March and reading even more books. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.